Welcome to Oh My Gosh Stories, where the shadows whisper and the truth is stranger than fiction. These aren't just stories. They're real encounters, chilling confessions, and dark secrets that were never meant to be told. Turn off the lights, plug in your headphones, and prepare to ask yourself, was that just the wind or something else? Story 1. I spent the night in England's most haunted village. They call it the most haunted village in England, Pluckley. Charming on the outside, cursed on the inside. They said I shouldn't go into the woods, that I shouldn't answer the screams. But curiosity got the better of me. And now, I don't think I came back alone. It was early October when I arrived in Pluckley. The leaves had just started to turn, giving the village a golden, cozy look, like something out of a postcard. I was doing a solo documentary on Britain's most haunted places, and Pluckley had always been at the top of my list. The village itself looked innocent enough. She handed me the key, and a small iron charm on a frayed string. A quiet pub, a few scattered cottages, old brick roads that hadn't changed in centuries. That's when it starts. The woods, they scream. I checked into a small Airbnb cottage run by an elderly woman named Elsie. "Wear this if you hear them," she said. "If you hear the screams, don't go looking." That evening, I stopped by the Black Horse Inn, the village pub. "Not stolen," she said, "but taken back." As soon as I mentioned I was heading into Deering Woods, the place went quiet. She just looked at me and whispered, "Ask the trees." A man in his 50s leaned in and said, "You don't want to be out there after dark." I laughed awkwardly, but no one else did. Another local, a woman in her 30s, told me that people had disappeared in those woods. I asked her what that meant. Just before midnight, I grabbed my torch and headed into the woods. Deering Woods, the so-called Screaming Woods. At first, it was peaceful, dead quiet except for the wind. But after 15 minutes, something shifted. The air felt thicker. Every tree looked the same, and then I heard it. A scream, far away, faint, could have been a fox. I thought I saw a figure, robed, tall, with no face. Then another, closer, higher, human. I froze. My camera began glitching. The sound recorder picked up static, and then, sobbing, low, right behind me. I turned, nothing there. I pressed record and whispered into the mic, "Hello?" What played back wasn't my voice. Every window, nothing was broken. Nothing was open. It was a child whispering, "Please don't leave me." I bolted. But the woods didn't let me go. Branches seemed to move where there was no wind. A shadow darted between the trees ahead. I dropped the recorder and sprinted back to the cottage. When I got inside, everything was ice cold. My breath came out in clouds. The lights flickered, and then I heard knocking, 3 slow knocks at the back door. I peeked through the curtain, no one there. But on the glass, a handprint, small, child-sized, from the inside. I checked every door, but the house wasn't empty. I tried to sleep, but something walked upstairs, pacing, back and forth, heavy boots. Except, there was no second floor. At 3:17 am, I heard whispering right beside my bed. "He's still in the woods." I turned on the light. There, on the wall above my head, was a symbol, carved into the plaster. I looked it up the next day. It's an old pagan protection rune, the kind they carve to keep spirits out. Didn't even turn in the key, or in. But something walked upstairs, pacing, back and forth, heavy boots. Except, there was no second floor. At 3:17 a.m., I heard whispering right beside my bed. "He's still in the woods." I turned on the light. There, on the wall above my head, was a symbol, carved into the plaster. I looked it up the next day. It's an old pagan protection rune, the kind they carve to keep spirits out, or in. I left Pluckley the next morning. Didn't speak to anyone. But things changed after I got home. My cat won't come into my room anymore. My camera, untouched, keeps deleting footage on its own. And 3 nights ago, I heard the scream outside my window. Miles away from the woods. I thought I left it behind, but maybe. It followed me back. If you ever visit Pluckley, don't go into the woods after dark. And if you hear someone scream, whatever you do, don't answer. Story 2. The Ghostwriter of Prestbury. There's a village in Gloucestershire where people still lock their doors on one night every year. December 23rd. Not Christmas Eve, not the solstice, but the night the writer comes back. They say if you hear hooves outside after midnight, you've already been marked. I didn't believe them until he stopped in front of my house and knocked. Just what I needed after the city finally burned me out. I moved to Prestbury in late November of 2022. Quiet village, beautiful surroundings, cheap rent. I rented a 400-year-old stone cottage on Shirtington Road. 2 bedrooms, small garden, right across from the church. On my first evening, the old man next door brought me a bottle of local cider. Nice guy, until he asked if I was planning to stay through Christmas. I said, yeah, why? He paused, glanced at my front door and said, just don't look out the window on the 23rd and leave a light on upstairs. Trust me, I laughed. But he didn't. His horse kept running, all the way to the village gate. A few days later, I looked into it. The story is well known here. The Prestbury Ghostwriter. A royalist messenger during the English Civil War, he was ambushed on horseback by parliamentarian soldiers and killed just outside the village while carrying an urgent letter. Shot through the chest. The villagers buried him under the road he died on. They say his soul never found peace. And every year, on the night of his death, he retraces his final ride, looking for the house he never reached. The house that was expecting that letter. And if he sees you, he stops, then louder, then gone. December rolled in. Cold and quiet. Around the 10th, things started getting strange. Every night around 1 a.m, I heard footsteps outside. Not walking, riding. Hoofbeats, faint at first. My doorbell rang once at 1:13 a.m. No one was there. Just a muddy horseshoe imprint on my stone step. I installed a security camera, but something needed to see it through. That night, I heard the hooves again. But the camera glitched. 10 minutes of static, followed by a single frame. A shadow, tall, thin, standing by my window, wearing what looked like a cloak. I couldn't sleep after that. The 23rd arrived. I had half a mind to book a hotel, massive, black, steam rising from its nostrils, and a rider. I kept every light on. Sat on the couch, flashlight in hand, camera set up, phone recording. No white, just black pits, waiting. 105 m, the power cut. Everything went black. Then, the sound, hoofbeats, coming up the road. Closer, slower. I looked out the peephole. There he was, a horse, helmet cracked, coat shredded, but the eyes, they were wrong. He stopped at my garden gate and lifted his head. Knock, knock, not on the door, on the window. Finish what I could not, or take my place. The village road ahead of me, the church bells behind me. Where I stood, I blinked, and he was gone. Except the handprint remained, gloved, dusty, pressed into the glass from the inside. The next morning, I found something on the floor by the front door. An envelope, old, brittle, wax seal still intact, barely. No address, just a name, Thomas W. That's my middle name. My parents never use it. No one does. Inside was a single slip of paper, handwritten. It read, "Your duty was not fulfilled." I burned the letter, but since then, I've had the same dream. Every night, I'm riding a horse, and a shadow waits in the window. This year, I won't be home on December 23rd, but I've started hearing hoofbeats wherever I go, even in London, even on pavement. Maybe it's in my head. Or maybe the writer doesn't care where you live, just that you answered his knock. Story 3. The Ghosts of AM. Some villages keep their history alive through statues or plaques, but AM, it keeps its history alive in whispers, footsteps in empty halls, childlike laughter when no children are around, and prayers echoing in the dark. They quarantined themselves to save others. Hundreds died behind locked doors, and some say they never left. I'd always been fascinated by historical tragedies, the stories people forget. AM caught my attention one evening during a university lecture on pandemics. 1665. The Black Plague hits London. A tailor in AM receives a parcel of cloth from the city infested with fleas. Within a week, the tailor's assistant dies. Within a month, half the street. Instead of fleeing and spreading the disease further, the villagers, led by their rector, voluntarily quarantined themselves. For 14 months, 260 villagers died, and many of their bodies were buried in back gardens. They never left the village, not in life, and some say, not in death either. I rented an old cottage on Church Street, apparently one of the original plague homes. The owner lived abroad and stayed in it for years. I booked a long weekend in AM for research. Inside, it smelled like old wood and lavender. There were hand-carved beams, low ceilings, and a coldness that never left the air, even with the heater on. The first night was uneventful. But at exactly 2:17 a.m., I was woken up by the sound of praying, faint, rhythmic, Latin. I checked my phone's recorder the next morning. It captured 12 seconds of whispered chanting, with no visible waveform. The locals just smiled when I told them. Sometimes the dead still worship, the man at the tea shop said. They had nothing else left. The second night, I stayed up, watching the living room camera I'd set up for my blog. At 2:17 a.m. again, the screen glitched. Then, I saw her. A little girl, pale, in a 17th century dress, her eyes dark, staring straight into the camera from the hallway. But when I checked the footage later, she wasn't there. Just 11 seconds of static, and a whisper, "Please come back inside." I ran outside to catch my breath, and saw something etched into the fog on the window from inside. She died waiting for her family to come back from the boundary stone. She didn't know they'd been buried in the field. A tiny handprint, and next to it, letters traced in streaks, Eliza. I asked the museum docent about it the next day. He looked at me, went silent, and then nodded. Little Eliza Marston. I decided to leave the next morning, but that night, I stayed awake. At 2:17 a.m., the house shifted. It felt like someone had opened a door, not in sound, but in pressure. She pointed to the floor. The candle I lit flickered blue. Then, footsteps upstairs. Heavy, deliberate. I went up shaking. The hallway stretched longer than before. The bedroom door was ajar. Inside, the same girl, Eliza, standing at the foot of the bed. Carved into the wood were initials, EM-1666, and just below it, still waiting. Then, her mouth opened. From beneath the house, I passed out, and I swear to God, I heard screaming. Not hers, hundreds, all ages. Screaming from under the floorboards, from behind the walls. When I left AM, I felt lighter. But I've never felt alone since. Sometimes at night, my hallway creaks. At 2:17 a.m., the lights dim for just a second, and every mirror in my flat fogs slightly with a child's handprint. I had no ancestors in AM and say a prayer, no family from Derbyshire. But I dream of plague stones, of handkerchiefs soaked in vinegar, of watching someone I love waste away. While I stand behind a locked door, maybe when you spend enough time in AM, you carry a piece of their burden with you. Maybe stay alert. And don't turn around. Eliza finally found someone who stayed. If you ever visit AM, don't just take pictures of the graves. Leave a coin on the boundary stone. Because not all ghosts are angry. Some are just lonely. If this stories gave you chills, you're not alone. Subscribe to Oh My Gosh Stories for more terrifying tales every week. Drop a comment below. What would you do if this happened to you? Until next time, stay safe.